Good morning. How's everyone doing? Good. Well, the information that I'm here to share with you today is specifically about a new plan that's available from Inprs, the Indiana Public Retirement System. And some of you may have heard about it because it's something that we've been traveling around the state educating our employers and our members about since the beginning of the year. So in case you have not heard of it or been able to participate in any of our sessions around the state, now's your chance to finally get some information about it. Let's see how I can advance here. Okay. All right. Yeah, just here. Okay. Oh, right here. Thank you. Oh, yeah. And by the way, I'm also here with my boss. This is Derek Benson. He is manager of our Outreach and Education Department. And he's here today as well to support me and provide any answers to questions that you may have. This presentation itself really only takes about 30 or 35 minutes, so we should have plenty of time for any questions that you may have afterwards. So this is what we'll be talking about today. We're going to be talking about this new retirement plan that is available once again from the Indiana Public Retirement System. It is called the My Choice Retirement Savings Plan. So I'm going to give you some details about it, how it works, and we're also going to talk about how it compares to the existing PERF hybrid retirement plan that most of you are participating in. So we'll do a side-by-side comparison to see the differences between these two plans. And then, if the information that you see today is of interest, if it's something that you'd like to move forward with in terms of adopting this new plan at your organization, I'll give you some information on how you go about doing that. But for those of you, let's see if I can move this. Here we go. Technology. Okay, here we go. So for those of you that may not be familiar with the Indiana Public Retirement System, just a few tidbits about us. We are ranked in the top 100 pension plans in the United States based upon our number of assets, which are about 30 billion in assets is what we manage. We are considered a healthy funded pension plan at 86%. And we provide retirement plans to about 1,100 employers across the state and about 450,000 members. Here in Indianapolis, we've got about 200 employees that work for the organization, and we've also got a whole host of field consultants that are located all around the state to provide information, education, and assistance to members that need help with understanding retirement, and for those of you that are getting ready to retire, we're there to assist you with all of that. So if you've been participating with us, then you're probably most familiar with what we call the PERF hybrid retirement plan. That's our PERF plan that we have had since we were started back in the 1940s. So that's probably the one that you're most familiar with as members. The plan itself provides benefits in two ways. It provides a pension benefit that is paid to you monthly for as long as you continue to live once you retire. And then it also has what we call an annuity savings account, which is a cash dollar amount that is contributed to your account each pay period. It consists of 3% of your salary that goes into the annuity savings account. So the PERF hybrid plan has these two parts to it. With regard to the pension piece, you have to vest into the pension over a 10-year period. So it can take some time, but as long as you put in 10 years of service and participation in the plan, you're guaranteed a retirement benefit at the age of 65, or sooner if you work longer or if you're an elected official. So that's the basic plan that we have had, once again, for many, many years, and that's the one that most members are familiar with. But what we've heard over years is that it's an expensive plan. So we receive lots of feedback, and most members understand, or most employers understand, that pensions are very expensive. As well, other employers have mentioned to us the issues about retention, keeping employees on for 10 years. We know that the workforce has evolved and that people are not staying in positions as long as they used to. So all that being said, there was a new retirement plan that was started, and once again, it's called My Choice Retirement Savings Plan. Now, just a tidbit of information, prior to this week, we were calling this plan the ASA only plan. But we did some extensive market research and determined that calling this the ASA only plan was a bit confusing to our members. So as of this week, it has been renamed to the My Choice Retirement Savings Plan. So this is our new plan, and it was actually started in 2013. It's a plan that's been available to state employees for the last 3 years. Just last year, a law was put into place that allows for us to offer this plan to political subdivisions. So now this is a plan that non-state employers can adopt and offer to employees. So the plan itself has a couple of components to it, primarily in the way of different types of contributions. So with this plan, a 3% mandatory contribution is still made to it, just like with the hybrid plan. So 3% of a member's salary is contributed to this plan, and as an employer, you can decide who makes that contribution. So it can be sponsored entirely by the employer, it can be an employee contribution, or it can be a shared contribution. But a mandatory 3% has to be contributed to this. In addition to that, there is what's called a normal cost, which in other words, it's an employer contribution. Now, the unique thing about the My Choice Retirement Savings Plan is that it can give employers the opportunity to save some money. Because as employers, you can determine how much it is that you do want to contribute to this plan. So that normal cost, which again is the employer contribution, if you were to adopt this plan this year, employers can decide how much they want to contribute anywhere between 0% and 5.8%. So as an employer, you could say, you know what, our budget doesn't permit for us to contribute to that right now, so we're just going to have the 3% mandatory contribution. And then maybe next year, if your budget looked different, you can adjust that and contribute some. But you will be able to do that within a range. So once again, the range is 0 to 5.8% this year. And for plans adopted next year in 2017, the range is between 0 and 4%. So employers can choose how much they would like to contribute to this, if at all. So that gives employers the opportunity to save some money, but still provide a retirement plan to their employees. So, let's see, does everyone have the handout? No, they don't. I've got a handout that I wanted to show you. Let's see. I think it's down here. Okay. Can I make that any bigger? Okay, all right. We have these handouts up front, so you can grab one if you'd like once we conclude. But this shows a breakdown of how the My Choice Retirement Savings Plan works. So at the very top, you can see some images of the employer, the employee, and then both as a shared contribution. And if you move down onto the second area, you'll see that 3% mandatory contribution. And once again, it can be paid by the employer, by the employee, or both can share in it. As employers, you decide. In addition, you can also allow for employees to contribute on a voluntary basis, up to 10% of their salary. And then, as employers, you can choose whether you want to match that contribution, either by half or not at all. Okay. So it provides some flexibility, once again, in terms of how much employers would like to contribute, which can provide you with some cost saving. As we move down, we see that area where we talked about the normal cost, in other words, the employer contribution. And again, as employers, you can contribute anywhere between 0 and 5.8% this year. and then in 2017 between 0 and 4%. Now there's another piece that comes along with these contributions, and that's what we call the supplemental rate. Now, if you have been participating with PERF and offering the hybrid plan, you still have unfunded liability that needs to be paid. And that's what that supplemental rate or supplemental cost is. This year, it's been 5.4%. Next year, it's changing. But the total employer rate is still going to be 11.2%. But because you have pension liabilities for your members that have been participating in the hybrid plan, you're still required to pay that unfunded liability, even if you enroll members in this new plan. So unfortunately, that does not go away. And we'll talk more about that in a moment. So again, this particular handout is up front, so feel free to grab one once we conclude today. Now, let me get back to where I was. Give me just a moment. Okay. All right. Now, another important piece about the My Choice Retirement Savings Plan is that employer contribution that, once again, you can choose how much you would like to contribute between 0 and 5.8% this year. That requires employees to vest in that contribution. The vesting is over 5 years. So that's what makes this plan very unique in comparison to the hybrid plan, because it's only a 5-year vesting and not 10 years like the existing hybrid plan is. So that could be a nice employee retention tool by providing something that has a shorter term vest that employees can work for 5 years and then become the owner of that account and then perhaps take it with them if they move on to a different employer. Other things about the My Choice Retirement Savings Plan. Again, employees can contribute up to 10% of their salary purely on a voluntary basis in order to save more for retirement. And as employers, you can choose whether you would like to match that by half or not. In addition, that supplemental cost, like I mentioned before, that's the unfunded liability that's due on the hybrid plan. So that's something that you want to be aware of. Even if you adopt this new plan, you still have those pension liabilities that need to be covered. So here's a side-by-side comparison of the two plans themselves. There's the My Choice plan and then the hybrid plan. With the My Choice, again, you have a range on how much you would like to contribute as employers between 0 and 5.8% this year. And then there's that supplemental cost of 5.4% that's already set. There's a 3% mandatory contribution to the plan, but again, employers choose whether they would like to contribute that or whether they would like employees to take care of that. And then there's the potential matching. Again, that's another piece that employers would decide whether they would like to offer a match or not. So there's a lot of flexibility in this particular plan for employers to actually craft this so that it matches in line with what your budgets are and what you think your employee population is going to like or see attractive in this. The hybrid plan, on the other hand, that one is set for you already. That's something that's dictated to you by PERF. So the normal cost is 5.8%. As employers, you're required to contribute that. There's still that supplemental cost of 5.4%. And then there's a 3% mandatory contribution that goes to the ASA portion of the hybrid plan. And there is no employee matching contributions. Okay. So that's our side-by-side comparison. Another big difference between the two, once again, is the fact that the My Choice plan has a 5-year vesting and the hybrid has a 10-year vesting. About that supplemental cost, once again, that refers to that unfunded liability that is on the hybrid plan. So all PERF employers that have been participating with us by law, still have a liability to cover that cost. So the amount of that liability this year is 5.4%, as I mentioned before. Next year, the unfunded liability is going up to 7.2%. But the normal cost is going down to 4%. So the employer rate overall is still 11.2. It says that the normal cost is going down and the unfunded liability is going up. But across the board, it's the same cost to you as employers. So, existing hybrid employers, so those of you that have been participating with PERF all this time, as I mentioned, are still required to cover that unfunded liability. Even if your employees participate in the hybrid plan or you adopt this new My Choice retirement savings plan, your liability is based on your employee population. So how many employees you have makes you liable for your entire employee base. So, what is it that you can actually offer now that this new plan is available? You may certainly continue to do what it is that you're doing and offer the hybrid retirement plan only for all of your employees. You're not required to take any action with this new plan. It's simply an option for you. But if you feel like it's something that'll work for your organization, then you can adopt the My Choice plan, and you can determine who it's going to affect in your employee population. So for example, you could say, all of my existing employees will remain in the hybrid plan, but going forward, all new employees that I bring on will be enrolled in the My Choice plan. Or you can offer both to new employees and let them choose which one they would like to participate in. As I mentioned before, the state of Indiana has offered this My Choice retirement savings plan since 2013, and new employees that come to the state have a choice on which plan they would like to go with. So they get to choose between the hybrid plan or the My Choice retirement savings plan. Now, so far, because I always get this question, so I'll mention it ahead of time, so far people will often ask, well, how many state employees have elected this new plan over the hybrid? We did some research a couple months ago, and we determined that about 16% of new state employees have chosen the My Choice retirement savings plan to participate in over the hybrid. Now, we realize that number is pretty small. But also, we have a default with the state. If new employees don't choose which plan they want to go with, they default to the hybrid retirement plan. So we're still doing further research to determine how many of our new state employees make a conscious choice and choose the hybrid plan or whether they default into it. So that's just a bit of information just to let you know how successful it's been. So once again, you can offer a choice to your new employees if you would like to, and they can choose between the new plan or the older hybrid plan. And you can also designate a default. You can designate the hybrid or the My Choice plan for those that don't make an active election within a period of time. You may also choose to offer the My Choice retirement savings plan to all of your employees, including those that have been previously in the hybrid plan. But if you should do that, you'd be required to withdraw from the hybrid plan, and you'd be responsible for all of the unfunded liabilities surrounding the plan up front. So it is something that you can take advantage of, but it can be very costly to do that. If you have not participated in PERF as an employer before, say you're brand new and would like to get started with PERF, you can choose how you want to do it. You can choose the hybrid, you can choose the My Choice plan, or you can choose both. But for brand new PERF employers, you are not required to pay the unfunded liability because you haven't participated in the hybrid plan in the past. Okay, so if you just come on as a brand new perf employer and you only offer the My Choice retirement savings plan, you're not responsible for the unfunded liability on the hybrid plan. So you've got options. So some of the benefits of the My Choice retirement plan for employers, it can offer you some cost savings. While it's not a windfall, it's not a huge dollar amount initially, over time, because you can create the plan based upon your budgets and your employee population, you've got some flexibility in terms of what you would like to offer. So over time, that can save you some money. So it definitely has a low-cost feature to it. In addition to that, it can be a nice employee retention tool, being that it only requires vesting over a 5-year period rather than a 10-year period like the hybrid. So it does have those two attractive features going for it. So it certainly is worth some consideration. Some benefits to employees. It does require employees to get a whole lot more involved in their retirement savings should they enroll in the My Choice retirement savings plan. It's a nice low-cost savings vehicle, but it does put a lot of the responsibility in the hands of the employee to make sure that they're saving enough, whether that be just through the mandatory contribution or whether that be through voluntary contributions that they make. But it does provide the same flexibility that the hybrid does in terms of allowing for employees to choose their own investment choices, make changes to their investment choices whenever they like, and take advantage of all the other educational tools that we have available for them, since this is more of a hands-on type of retirement account to manage for employees. It works a lot like a traditional 401k that you're going to find in private industry. So it does really put a lot of the responsibility on employees to be involved with their retirement saving. The hybrid plan, on the other hand, for employers, the benefits of it are that it really gives you a lot of confidence that you're providing a good solid benefit to your employees. As long as they work 10 years, they're guaranteed a benefit at age 65 or sooner if they work longer. So that certainly is a nice feature. It does put a lot of the responsibility on the employer, but it doesn't require so much retirement education per se, because it's something that's taken care of for the employees. For employees, they've got a guaranteed lifetime benefit. You can't go wrong with that. And you know what you're dealing with at retirement for the most part, because the pension is based upon a formula that's created by state law. So it's easy for employees to estimate what type of benefit they can expect to receive at the age of 65 or sooner if they qualify. If you're dealing with something that's more like the My Choice plan, it's kind of hard to estimate how much money you're going to have to play with at retirement time, because it's just entirely based upon contributions and projections on what the market may do. Another added feature of the My Choice retirement savings plan, though, is the fact that I know some of you have employees that have retired that might have an interest in coming back to work. If you as an employer adopt the My Choice savings plan and you have employees that return to your organization after retiring, they can participate in the My Choice plan and save more money towards their retirement. Because they're unable to do that with the hybrid plan, but they can certainly do that with the My Choice retirement savings plan. So that's another unique feature that it does have. So, if some of the information I provided to you with regard to this new retirement plan look attractive or it seems interesting, we are more than happy to meet with you and provide you with more specific details about how it could affect your organization should you adopt the plan itself. In order to adopt it officially, All we need for you to do is submit an employer resolution to add the plan on to your offerings. And in the resolution, you indicate exactly who the plan will be offered to, whether that be new employees going forward, existing employees, etc. So we just need a resolution from you. This plan is available at any time. So it's not as though you have a limited time that you can take advantage of it. Once you submit your resolution to us, say for example you do that next week, your plan would go live January 1. If you submit a resolution to us early next year, after the first of the year, then your plan would go live in July 1st to be exact, okay? So that's the way it works. It's pretty straightforward, but we work closely with you in order to adopt the plan and implement it and roll it out to any employees that it could affect at your organization. I've also included our information up here, and it's also on our handout should you grab one at the conclusion today. All you have to do is email us or give us a call, and once again, we'd be more than happy to meet with you and discuss how this could affect your organization. Okay. All that being said, I know it's a lot of information. Are there any questions? Yes. Yes, ma'am.
This is just a general perf question. If someone retires and they want to come back as a consultant, so as an independent contractor, does the 30-day break in service still apply?
Yes, it would. Well, they're coming back as a third party. Yeah, so it doesn't. No, because they're not going to be on your payroll again. So if they come back as a contractor, then that would be acceptable. Yeah, and you wouldn't have to wait the 30 days. That's correct. Other questions? Yes.
If I have an employee who starts January 1st and all of a sudden he leaves on March 31st, I have paid in to his PERF, or he has paid in to his PERF, however counties do it. In our situation, we pay all the PERF contributions for our employees. But why don't I get, I mean, obviously he's not going to get that 3 months that we paid into him. Why do I not get a credit of some sort, and where does that money go when he leaves?
Did you hear that? I'm sorry, I didn't completely hear you. Did you hear? Understand. Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry, I had to get clarification because I couldn't quite hear you. Okay, so I understand that if you should have an employee that you hire, say, in January, that then leaves in March, and that person never vested, but you had paid in for them, where does that money go, or why don't you get it back? Is that what? Okay, wanted to make sure I understood. So that contribution that you made, it's not returned to you, but it is used to go towards the unfunded liability on the hybrid plan.
Thank you. My question is for a current employee who is enrolled in the traditional PERF plan, who decides to go to the My Choice plan. What happens to those? Let's say he's got 4 years in. I'm thinking of a retiree, a possible retiree who has 4 years in, probably won't make it till the 10, sees this 5-year choice. What happens to his 4 years of service? Does he start back at square one when he moves to My Choice?
I'm sorry, they're all paraphrasing for me because I can't entirely hear everything with the speakers up here. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, going forward. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay, so just so I can clarify, so if you have, say for example, you have an employee who has worked 4 years or so, and they've been participating in the hybrid plan, and then they choose to go with the My Choice plan, what happens with those 4 years that they had put in. Understand? So when you adopt this plan, you would choose whether that would affect your existing employees. Most of the time, what we've seen for employers that have chosen this plan, they leave the existing employees in the hybrid and then just offer the My Choice plan to new employees going forward. Because if you were to offer it to all employees, you as an employer would need to withdraw from the hybrid plan, and you would need to pay up all of those unfunded liabilities in order to make those existing employees whole. So, as I mentioned before, it's a very expensive undertaking, so it might not be the best idea to offer it across the board like that. So what you might want to do is, if it's something that you're interested in, you just want to offer it to new employees going forward rather than your previous employees. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Other questions? Okay. Oh, there's one right there.
Years ago, they had workshops like you could go to actually get perf information, and we went over to Bedford. They had, our understanding was, the gentleman said, before you can start collecting, there was a certain number you had to meet. In other words, 81s, whatever the number was. In other words, years of service plus your age had to total up to this number before you could start collecting. Is that still the same?
Oh, okay. I think what you might be referring to is the rule of what we call the rule of 85, which is one of the ways that you qualify for retirement. So if a member is at least age 55 and their age plus their years of service total 85 or greater, then you meet eligibility for full retirement benefits. But that's just one of the ways that you can qualify for retirement. If you have at least 10 years of service and you're age 65, you qualify for full benefits. As well, if you're age 60 with 15 years, you also qualify for full retirement benefits. We also have, with the hybrid plan, early retirement, which is available for members between the ages of 50 and 59 with 15 years of service. So early retirement comes with a reduced benefit. But at any time, we can provide you with estimates on what those benefits would look like from the hybrid plan. So I just encourage you to get in touch with us if you'd like to see something like that. Other questions?
We have one up here.
Okay. Up front?
And I don't know, but we at one time, it was mandatory that we had our employees enlist in PERF. Is it mandatory now for the counties to have either one of the other, either the hybrid or the My Choice PERF for our employees, or is that an option at this point? I know there's been a lot of talk about changes.
So, I'm sorry, just to clarify your question, is it mandatory that you offer one of these plans to your employees? Yes. Yeah, for full-timers. Oh, if they're not currently. Yeah. So if you have employees that you've classified as full-time and benefits eligible, and you've been participating with PERF in the past, as long as your employer information states that they're full-time and benefits eligible, then you are required to enroll them. And obviously, we've just offered the hybrid plan right now, so that's the one that they would need to be in. But if you as an employer adopt the My Choice plan, they would need to be in one or the other, yes. Okay, thank you. Other questions today? Okay. All right, well, if you think of any more, once again, you know where to find us. Our information is here as well. Handouts are up front. So I encourage you to contact us with any questions or concerns that you have, whether it be about this new My Choice retirement plan or the existing hybrid plan for your employees or even for yourself if you have questions about how you become eligible and what steps to take in order to get information or move forward with retirement, just let us know. That's what our role is, and we're more than happy to walk through it with you. Okay? Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your conference.